Fins up. OnlyFans, but with a PH. You heard? Yo. White orange and teal, the fins look real, you know it's a deal. There's blood, sweat, and tears, all up in his huddle with water to cook up a meal. My coaching in two where the combo was chill. Play action to chase, got hunger to feel. The cheetah is loose, he's going for blood. The end of the race only went for the kill. Miami, the city, the county, the block. We steady impact, tail dead in the lot. Defense is strong and hard as a rock. Holland's a lock, and next one's a spot. Getting too hot, so turn up the fan. You look to the crowd, see Jimmy and Bam. Martin, Joe, and Sosa the mans. Your fellas, roll the clip, OnlyFans.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy So, and welcome back to the channel for another week of OnlyFans, a Dolphins post-game show with reaction, analysis, and a whole lot of heart. Now, before we get this party started, we ask that you hit the like button on this video and make sure to subscribe to our channel and put the post notifications on so you get notified when we drop these videos. Now, with me today for the post-game recap, you know him, you love him, the co-host of the Sports with So podcast, Joel, the delusional Dolphin. What'd you think of this game, brother?
Oh, man, it went exactly how I thought it was going to go for the most part, with the exception of maybe one or two things that occurred. But we got the dub, and we're sitting in first right now, boys and girls, so can't be mad at that.
That's all that matters, man. He's our favorite skeptic, undoubtedly Skylar Thompson's #1 fan. Martin, how'd you feel about this game, brother?
How about that defense, man? How about that defense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you haven't noticed already, the Dolphins went up to New York and got an ass kicking. Courtesy. Well, they kicked the shit out of the Jets. 34-13 in New York, making themselves 8-3 of the season, putting themselves in prime position in the AFC for that home field advantage. And obviously, when it comes to the AFC East division. Now, this game, Joel said it went kind of like he thought it was going to go. I was kind of expecting the same thing, right? Like we all thought that this was going to be a drag them out type game. Whichever defense plays better is probably going to win the game. And there was a lot of unknown because the Jets were starting their third string quarterback. Now, focusing on the Dolphins and how we came out, we drove down the field, got all the way inside their 10, got all the way inside their 5, come up to a 4th and 2. And we come up with a pass play. And I hate to jump to start the show on that point, but if we're talking about things that really change the momentum of the game, that turnover on downs really did it for me. What about you guys?
I'm not mad at the decision to go for it. I'm just not the happiest camper with the play call. I wish it would have, put the ball on the ground, just try to ground and pound it there. If we're really going for it already, then we just need a yard. Like, just try some version of a tush push that works for the Eagles. Give it to our running back, run it up the gut. We get too willy-nilly with these passes and they come back to bite us in the ass.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Mark?
Ultimately, it was a good pass and went through Tyreek Hill's hands.
True.
So, yeah, it was, again, good execution, bad, end result. But, yeah, again, that's something we've said from the beginning. We're not a physical team. On offense, we're one of those teams that are very good at passing, and we'll throw in runs here and there until we become a physical team, especially going against a physical defense like the Jets.
Yes.
It just had to be different. But I'm okay with it. It just, end result, you don't like it.
I hear you, and I guess that the play call was the right play call because obviously Tyreek was open. He had enough space to make the catch, and he should have ultimately made the catch. And 9 times out of 10, he does make that catch. But what breaks my heart a little bit is like, coño, man, so early in the game, if we're going for it, let's go for it with some type of physicality. You know what I mean? Not just a pass play, which we did see towards the end, the second half, right? Where we had another 4th and 1 situation. We ran the ball, but we ultimately walk away with no points, give the ball right back to the Jets, but they did nothing with it as well. The defense really came to play on Friday, being that it was the first Black Friday game ever. Defense really put on a performance that was worthy of that, right? Of being one of the first in history because they pitched 2 field goal pretty much in the first half and really kept the Jets quarterback completely rambled. He didn't have any time to set his feet on most of his throws. Like I said, once we got the ball back, it felt like, okay, we're going to move it at will here. And we did. We ended up with a field goal on our next drive, but it was a 7-play drive where we got 3 minutes off the clock and we were able to move down with some big field plays. Now, one thing that Joel and I were talking about before we started the postgame show is the injuries. This game really caught up to us as far as injuries go because we lost a lot of guys to injuries, mainly Jalen Phillips. Martin, I'm interested to hear your take on what the loss of Jalen Phillips is going to be since we've lost him for the rest of the season.
So for the early injuries in the beginning of the season, you got to see Van Ginkel step up, and that was great. But for a whole, like the rest of the season, I think we have 8 or 7 games left. To lose him is probably the biggest loss of the defense, because you got to see when him and Chubb were playing together how, everybody got their attention. Now Chubb is going to be the focal point of that D-line, which might, hinder his stats. I don't think he's going to be able to contribute as much unless Van Ginkel comes out of nowhere and becomes this guy we've been waiting for. But yeah, it's the biggest loss of the defense. I think we can lose a lot of players. I think Phillips is one of those to be out for the season. It's going to be a big difference because we're not going to have that pressure on the quarterback that we've seen. Although, because again, Wilkin contributes because of the pressure. You saw our D-line getting better little by little as everybody was getting healthy on the D-line. But now that we're going to be missing one of our biggest pieces, I don't know what's going to happen there.
Yeah, and even rotationally, you know what I mean? Like, what's that going to do for the rotation and for Chubb, who was pretty much his sack partner on the other side? Joel, what are your thoughts on Jalen Phillips' Achilles torn injury?
It's absolutely devastating. I mean, we've seen the impact the kid has had on this team and his progression, since we drafted him. He's been having a great year with us, and he missed a few games. We saw what happened when he missed those few games, and then the lack of the pressure that we were getting. He's a huge part of that defensive line, and I think it's going to be hard to fill those shoes. So, I know Martin is a big Van Ginkel fan. I like Van Ginkel too when he's on. But I think, it's not only on him. I think, a guy that's kind of been forgotten about in the shadows of the Dolphins locker room, Emmanuel Ogbah.
Reasons why.
But, I think
also
now is the time. Now is the time to step up. You're given the opportunity. You didn't do what you needed to do with the opportunities that were given to you, which is why other people came in. Now's the time. You have an opportunity. Go back to what you did 2-3 years ago when you were getting to the quarterback, creating pressure for us, and help do your part for the team. You don't got to do it all, but do your part.
No, for sure. And like Ogbah, and that's part of the reason probably why he fell back, right? Because the performances kind of tailed off a little bit as other guys were starting to perform and be a little bit more consistent. The Phillips, the Chubb, the Wilkins, the Ziegler, we saw all these guys get their opportunities and do something with it. Now, like Joel was saying, it's Ogbah's turn. He's going to have to step up and really, do something, as well as Van Ginkel, right? He's getting another opportunity to get a chance to go out there and make some plays. Let's keep it positive, right? Let's move back towards the game recap. We get a touchdown on our third possession of the game. It was a best possession of the game, in my opinion. 11 plays, 60-yard drive. Took about 6 minutes, where we ultimately see Tua connect with Tyreek Hill for the touchdown on a 7-yard little pass there. And at that point, I felt like, all right, this is where we, put the nail in the coffin, go and really get something away from the Jets. But then on our very next possession, after we score a touchdown, we see the interception for the touchdown. And for me, I'm starting to become really worried about the timing of the interceptions, right? It's not only the throws that he's making, we can criticize those all day, but really is the timing of the interceptions and the turnovers that's killing us. Because we had a lot of momentum in that game on that drive where we could have scored, put the game away early in the first half, but just giving them a complete, boost of life with that interception for 6. I'm interested to get your guys' thoughts as well, because for me, I was just super bothered by it.
I mean, who wasn't bothered by that? You never want to see your team giving up a pick 6 when your defense is pitching a shot.
No, but over and over again, I'm tired of Tua doing that, dog.
Dude, I get it. We all get it. We want him to get better. That was the second interception, though, too. I think he had thrown one prior to that already. And right? Or am I wrong on that?
No. He only had 2.
Later.
He had 2 interceptions. They came later in the game. It wasn't prior to
No,
the
2
pick 6.
total. 2 total.
Right. But my question is, the pick 6 was one. When was the other one?
Half.
Right after. Next possession.
It was after that or before?
It was right after that. No, right after that. DJ Reed got it right before.
Yeah, and so that's what we don't want to see, is the compounding of the mistakes. Yeah, pick 6 sucks, which ultimately we got that back. We bounced back with our own pick 6 right before the half, which is being labeled the Hail Mary, which I know we'll get into in a second. But, you don't want to see our quarterback compounding mistakes like that, especially when we're ramping up to try to make a playoff push here.
I mean, I don't know about you, Martin, but the fact that this dude is in line to get a big payday, in line to get a next contract from us, in order for us to feel, completely secure in him as Dolphins fans, these are the mistakes that he has to improve on immediately. Like you can't go back-to-back interceptions on drives, dog. Like if we've been playing the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, any other AFC potential playoff opponent, and we give the ball back-to-back after they scored on the ball on the previous turnover, like that's not it, and that doesn't give me a lot of confidence into moving forward.
Ultimately, what it looked like, oh, look, I made a big mistake. I want to make a big play. That's what they were trying to push down the field. And that possession, that DJ Reed, the second one came on a potential, like if that pass goes through, it's a field goal. So he was driving that drive. It looked great what he was doing. But, you know, he just tried to make a play at the end of the game, and DJ Reed made a better play. You get bothered by the picks, but ultimately he's playing well enough to win games. It's just he's putting you in certain situations that you're like, you need to avoid these because, like you said, if you're playing a good team, a good offense, not a high school offense like the Jets have looked this season, it probably ruins the game for you. And maybe that Hail Mary ends up being a touchdown if it's a good quarterback because you never that pick six for us really gave us the momentum we needed going into the half. Because if not,
it washed Tua's pick six. You know, Tua got bailed out again by the defense. And that's kind of what we're seeing. You know, we want to see that too, right? We obviously want to be able to see the defense hold an entire offense to 47 yards and a half of football, which is what we did, you know, but we don't want him to go get a little, you know, too trigger happy, just throwing it down the field, you know, or I mean, the pick six was a bad one because he had time in the pocket. He was going through all his progressions. It was the very last read, which was Burials coming all the way across the right. And that's your weakest throw coming across your body. You know what I mean? Like throw it away, like put it in a spot where like you're throwing it in his direction, but just get rid of the ball. Like you can't just dump it off to that DB, which is what he did there. And I hope that's the last time we see a pick six from Tua in that situation.
I don't know, man. I think that Martin touched on something, right? Like sometimes Tua feels the need to make up for plays from the previous drive or whatever the case may be. If he's going to be our future quarterback, then he has to learn that that's not acceptable because you're always going to be given an opportunity, especially with this type of offense and weapons that we're building up here. Like you're always going to have an opportunity to get that back at some point. You know, you don't have to go out and try to get it back on your own and try to force the play in order to make things worse where you're compounding those mistakes like Joel had mentioned. We need to see Tua perform better as the stretch of the season gets more important. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like if you look at his stats were not like bad at all for the game. You know, like he had a really good game. We ran the ball when we needed to. Another 243-yard game, 1 touchdown, but the 2 interceptions, 2 sacks, like those things that he does that become little things during the game end up adding up at the end of the game. Yeah. And look, if it hadn't been for that Hail Mary, 99 touchdown interception returned by Javon Holland, like who knows where the rest of the game would have been at, because when we came out of the second half, we only got a field goal. So it's not like we came out with a ton of energy and scored another touchdown.
The Javon Holland play, man, that has to be Holland's career highlight in the Dolphins uniform, right? Absolutely. What a fucking run back, dog. I mean, and the defense too to stick with it and like set up the blocks for him. 99 yards. That's it. That's nothing to like sneeze at, bro. That's not easy, bro. To be able to go the length of the field like that and just get the momentum right back on our side going into the half. I mean, you gotta give that kid all his props, bro.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's the first one of the year too.
Yep. First one of the year, and he needed it, and we needed it, especially at that time, right? We needed it at that time. And I was telling a buddy of mine on Instagram, I was like, "Yo, this is probably gonna go down as one of the best secondaries that have played on paper and on the field in Dolphins history." Because we're talking about Xavier Howard, that guy's probably heading towards the Hall of Fame. We know Jalen Ramsey's definitely heading toward the Hall of Fame. If Javon Holland can continue to make plays and be an excellent player, Pro Bowl player year in, year out, he'll probably make it. And then like you think about, we have all 3 of these guys in the defensive backfield all at one time, and it's just scary for oppositions, man. To focus back on the offense, they did get a little bit of energy after we forced them to punt. We forced the Jets to punt. They were able to put together another good drive, 15 plays, 92 yards, 9 minutes. And for me, what stood out the most.
Don't breeze over that.
I'm not. What stood out to me the most was the control of the clock, right? Where we ran the ball. We really didn't necessarily get out to the races, we really started to wind the clock down on these guys, run the play clock all the way down to 3, 2, 1, and then get the playoff. So like I felt like we were just using all of the time in order to put good execution plays after good execution plays after good execution plays together.
That's what we need. We talked about it. We talked about it on the podcast last week. You know, the Jets are not going to be able to bring anything. So it's a matter of, can we just control the clock, milk the clock, time of possession, and just score when we're getting into the red zone when we need to. And that drive, bro, 9 minutes. There's 15 minutes in a quarter of football, dog. So for 9 minutes, we had the ball. We had possession of the ball. And that's what I'm hoping we see more moving forward. You know, taking our time, settling in. You know what I mean? I like the hurry up sometimes. You know, obviously you can catch people slipping when they're making some changes or whatever, but let's play at our pace. Let's control the game. And that's what we did on that drive, dog.
For sure. Martin, 20 carries for Mostert, 94 yards. He is the pace of the offense, right? When we're talking about running the ball and being able to put drives together, a lot of this has to do with his ability to be on the field, catching and running, right?
Yeah, he wasn't even the more consistent in the first half. Jeff Wilson was obviously the bigger contributor in the first half. He just gets better as the game goes on. That's what I hate about when we go away from the run.
Yes,
Mostert literally, like, he'll start off with 8 carries, 15 yards, and then you end the game with 94 yards. It's like he's giving you like little by little, he gets more physical than the opposing team, and he's going to give you what you need. And he's going to give you what you need, man. He's really that guy that as the game goes on, he will get better. He will see gaps, and he has great vision. He has great speed. Our O-line was blocking really well. So, like, just give it time, and we just got to continue. I just hate the reason we've been seeing these carries for him, though. It's because we're trying to just milk the clock. The Raiders game, we're trying to milk the clock. We're up. Game, but I want to see that consistently throughout the game to keep Tua out of those scenarios that he's throwing these interceptions.
That's a good point.
That's just what I mean when it comes to give these running backs the opportunity. If Jeff Wilson keeps playing the way he played this week, give him more opportunity. You don't have to be just on Mostert. Just give our running backs a chance.
For sure. And look, Jeff Wilson had a good game by his own standards, right? 11 carries, 56 yards, and some hard runs, including a 14-yarder, a real hard run. Like that defense, that running back room that we have is a very, eclectic group, and they all bring something different to the table. One thing that I think we're seeing from Raheem Mostert is the conditioning. Last year, he probably got gassed a little bit in games where he was just being relied on too much, and he probably was a little bit tired. This year, when you see him in the fourth quarter, it's like this guy's playing in the first quarter. He's very well conditioned, not tired, able to pound the rock, make moves, and that's, to me, the sign of a good running back. Are you still as agile as you were in the first quarter, second quarter? Can you still do those cutbacks when you're tired? And Mostert's doing a great job playing second half football for us, man. All right, nobody jump in there.
Nah, he is. I got nothing to add. He absolutely is, bro. The guy's a beast. And we need that. That's what pisses me off, though, man. Like, why aren't we just running the ball more? Like, especially in certain situations. And we saw it again this past week. I saw the damn play. When it works, it's a good play. But the bubble screen to Tyreek, where he's 5-6 yards off the line of scrimmage, bro, and then he gets tackled in an open field tackle because somebody misses the block. That shit pisses me off, dog. I'm tired of that shit. Like, I get it. And we ran it this week. We adjusted it. He wasn't so far off. He was more on the inside, like more closer to the slot. But, like, some of those instances, just run the ball. Run the ball there with Raheem. Let him get, he's going to be quick enough to find the hole and explode through it and get you those 5-6 yards that we need.
No, but they did it differently, and I liked it. Honestly, that was one of the plays that I was really a fan of. It was a motion bubble screen. That looked great. And the block, if you look at the actual play, the blocking, everybody's out in front.
It worked out. It worked out this time because they changed it. But like I said, I'm tired of seeing that fucking late bubble screen back there where he's by himself in isolation, and then you have
they do it when they do it in ISO. That's bad. Yeah,
that's I'm tired of seeing that shit, bro. Like, stop doing that shit.
I think that's the evolution that we're looking for in Mike McDaniels, right? Like, if you guys remember, I called him out on that shit last week. Like, yo, you got to get better at adjusting your game plan throughout the game, right? You can't just call that play because you know that it has a potential for a 10, 15, 20-yard gain. You have to go with what the game is showing you, right? And in this game, it was better for us to run the ball. We kept Tua in check, another game where he doesn't go over 30 attempts. And look at that. We end up winning the game comfortably by 21 points, where our defense is allowed to be on the field and make plays. And that's what they did. After that touchdown, they came up with an interception. Jerome Baker with his first of the season. He's been playing great for us. He was just in the right position at the right time. But I felt like that whole drive, we were getting to their quarterback. We were getting in their backfield, and that's the disruption that we were looking for.
Was that the interception that was off the Wilkins sack? Where like he just basically just like threw it up and it ended up in Baker's hand?
Yep, that's the one. And again, that's the level that this defense is playing on now, right? Like across the board, everybody's making the plays that they can make. Hey, I have an opportunity for a sack, boom, it's mine. Hey, I have an opportunity to deflect this pass on the deep out, I'm gonna do it. Because we saw Cater who come in and make some plays. We saw Van Ginkel come in and make some plays. Steelers, for me, had a very quiet but effective game. The way that he was pushing back that center and allowing the ends to collapse, but while taking away that middle ground there. It was huge how we were able to put that defensive pressure on them. But again, the story of the turnovers continue. Tua fumbles the handoff. It was like kind of weird. I don't know what the hell.
That wasn't on him. That wasn't on Tua. That was on Evans.
It was on Evans 100%. But like, damn, dog. Why is it always when Tua is around, dog? Because that shit just looks bad for him. You know what I mean? And I hate that because then the narrative is Tua doesn't have the rhythm. And then what happens after the fumble? Jets drive down the field, short field, 6 plays, 35 yards. They get a touchdown to make it 27-13. And then the Dolphins just decide to say, you know what, let's stop fucking around. Let's stop playing with these boys and put the game away. Give it to Mostert. He took off for 34 yards, had a tremendo touchdown run. And I felt like that was his comeuppance for that game, right? Like he really deserved that second touchdown because he had put in a lot of hard work throughout that game. And ultimately, we end up walking away with the victory 34-13. We stay in first place in the AFC East division, which is crazy to hear that at this point. Week 12 is a wrap. And here we are, with a 2-game lead pretty much on Buffalo in the AFC East, man. And
we got a little bit of an extended break before our next game.
Yes, sir, which is going to be huge because that next game is going to be a tough one. Don't you think, boys?
They're all going to be tough, but we got to get healthy. That's the main thing with the time. We lost a lot of guys too. We saw Armstead go down on our banged up O-line already. A lot of guys are already on the injury report. We lost Phillips. So we got to get healthy. We got to figure out now. Who's going to fill in those gaps. So I love the fact that we got a little bit of time.
It's going to be interesting to see who practices this week, right? Like especially on the offensive line. If there's one area that I think that we have to get healthy at immediately is the offensive line because without those guys, it's going to be hard for Mostert and company to keep doing their thing, right? And that shit has really been the foundation and the base of this offense. Yeah, we're scoring a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, Tyreek Hill's on his way to 2,000 yards, which he had an amazing game as well that game. But the O-line being the foundation for the run is huge for us, man.
I think the biggest thing about this game is that we got to see a little Waddle finally because Waddle has not been a contributor, and not because I don't think he's capable. I'm saying that I don't think we've game planned for him being part of the offense. It's been Hill every week, and we're not going to be a great team until we see a balanced attack from our passing game and our running game, and Waddle needs to be involved.
Yeah, 100%. I don't think he has a game where he has more than 10 targets. And even this year, even this game, right? He gained yardage on Tyreek Hill and had one less catch. He had 8 catches for 114 yards, no touchdowns. He's been really slacking in that department, but a lot of that attention is going to Tyreek Hill and he's getting those opportunities. So getting Waddle involved in the offense is a great call, Martin. Like we need to see more of that because what it does is balance out the field, right? We can play on both sides of the field instead of just using mostly the left hash of the field. What do you guys think of, I'm sorry to bring this up, but it's kind of random. I'm interested to see what you guys thought about Christian Wilkins' performance. He didn't have a great game as far as tackles goes. He only had 3 tackles, but he had 2 sacks. This is another dude that is in line to get paid, and his performances have been getting better as the year progresses. Like, is this a dude who's earning his paycheck or his future check, in your opinion?
I hope he gets paid, just not by us.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough.
I like Wilkins. I like Wilkins a lot. So if we do spend the bag on him, that wouldn't be the worst thing for me.
I mean, 6.5 sacks this season. That was one of his biggest Achilles heels, right? Like, where are the sack numbers? And granted, he's playing on an amazing defense within a great defensive line unit, but he's putting up the numbers that we wanted to see. No forced fumbles, but again, 24 tackles, 6.5 sacks. That's looking good, like a good payday for him. Let's see if the Dolphins can match that. We got Washington on the road next. Back-to-back road games for the Dolphins. What are you guys thinking about this one?
I think this is going to be a game we should win. You know, I'm frankly, these next 3 games, I'm not so worried about. It's those last 3 games of the season that I'm the most worried about. But this one against Washington, they kind of traded everybody right before the deadline. Their defensive line, you know, the guys that we would be worried about. They got a decent quarterback, but the guy gets sacked a lot, so we should be able to get to him, and he throws picks. And with Ramsey and Howard out there and company, I think we should be able to contain them. And I just need a bounce back from the offense. I need a big offensive output this week.
I hear you, brothers. What about you, Martin? What do you think of this matchup against Washington?
Being away is probably the only thing I want to take away from that. We haven't played great away. This defense just fired the defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio. So, you know, maybe that guy that's coming up is going to look a little better, maybe bring a little more looks that we haven't seen just yet.
Yes, sir. Good point.
So I don't think it's going to be one to be worried about going in, but I think they'll give us a better output than we were expecting. I'll say that.
That's why I think that I'm a little concerned about it, only because we're going in there banged up, right? Like, and you never know who's going to be available, who's going to be game time decision, right? We're talking about a game that's a week from now. So it's a toss up in that sense. Yes, we are the better team, but Washington can play spoiler, and we got to be up for challenges like that, right? Where we don't necessarily downplay the opponent. We just got to go out there with the importance of knowing that we got to get the victory to continue our march towards a home field advantage in the playoffs, man. Because 9-3, shit, bro. If we would have talked before the season, say, yo, we're gonna be 9-3 by week 12, by week 13, like I don't think none of us 3 would have said that, dog.
No, I get. Yeah, you're the only one. You're the only one.
Of course, you're delusional.
I would have. Hey, but before we go, I know we're gonna wrap up, but Hard Knocks premiered this week. The in-season premiered. Yes, I saw it. I wanted to see your guys' thoughts.
I loved it. I loved it. I love seeing Mike McDaniel's confidence, right? His swagger, how he, you know, gives his view of the game, right, to his players, and mostly because it really does, reverb through the entire coaching staff, throughout the players. All the coaching staff coach kind of similar to him, like they have a big deal of confidence. And yeah, dog, I'm glad that we're finally getting some national love. People can see us in a different light. You know what I mean?
I thought it was dope. Martin, you got to watch it. I know if it was a Chargers one, you would be all over it. But you got to watch it.
It was Herbert, not Chargers. If it was Herbert, not Chargers.
Here's my take on it, and you can confirm after you watch it. First and foremost, McDaniels is the biggest dork I've ever seen in my life.
Biggest.
He's corny as fuck. He's such a dork. The other thing is Tyreek Hill is the man on and off the field, bro. That guy is a G, and like the way he spoke, and like about his family, about like life, about work and shit like that. You know what I mean? It was very interesting to see that side of him. I love our linebackers coach. That guy had me ready to run through a brick wall.
I was ready.
I need that guy to stay around. I need him to stay there. But yeah, besides that, I like to see I like to see just the team, you know what I mean? See what the hell's going on, what's our culture like in the locker room, and we don't really get a real good shot at that. So
I'm dying to see who gets the cake. Martin, I'm not going to spoil it for you, dog, but I'm like, somebody's getting a cake. Somebody's getting a cake from this game against the Jets, man.
Multiple people
are getting cakes, man. Oh, one
for sure,
last thing
Holland. For sure, Holland's getting one.
For sure, he's getting one. For sure. Before we let you guys go, these bad boys are for sale right now. Holla at your boy, Empire Boutique. Shout out to them. We got the OnlyFans shirt, official merch out right now. Hit your boy up if you need to order. Shoot me an Instagram DM and we'll get it popping. Joel, Martin, I got you guys this week when I see you guys pretty soon. We'll get it popping, man.
Love it.
Appreciate you guys joining me as usual. Let's do this again after we get a victory on the road in Washington, boys.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody else, thank you so much for tuning in. We were short without Rax today, but he's going to join us next week as we kick the shit out of Washington in Washington. Like I said before, let us know what you guys think about this program. Drop a comment, hit the like button, and hit us up for these OnlyFans shirt. It's your boy, So. Peace.